So now send for them, and let them come, and we will try them. And the king did so. In the morning Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron to come before the king. And they took the rod of God and came to the king and spoke to him, saying, Thus said the Lord God of the Hebrews, Send away my people, that they may serve me. And the king said to them, But who will believe you, that you are the messengers of God, and that you come to me by his order? Now therefore give a wonder or a sign in this manner, and let the words which you speak will be believed. Aaron hurried and threw the rod out of his hand before Pharaoh and before his servants, and the rod turned into a serpent. The sorcerers saw this, and each man cast his rod on the ground, and they became serpents. The serpent of Aaron's rod lifted up its head and opened its mouth to swallow the rods of the magicians. Balaam the magician answered and said, This thing has been from the days of old, that a serpent should swallow its fellow, and that living things devour each other. So now restore it to a rod as it was at first, and we will also restore our rods as they were at first. If your rod shall swallow ours, we will know that the Spirit of God is in you, and if not, you are only a magician like ourselves. Aaron hurried and stretched forth his hand and caught hold of the serpent's tail, and it became a rod in his hand. The sorcerers did the same, with their rod, and got hold each man of the tail of his serpent, and they became rods as at first. When they were restored to rods, the rod of Aaron swallowed up their rods. And when the king saw this thing, he ordered the book of records that related to the kings of Egypt to be brought. They brought the book of records, the chronicles of the kings of Egypt, in which all the idols of Egypt were inscribed. For they thought they would find there the name of Jehovah, but they found it not. And Pharaoh said to Moses and Aaron, Behold, I have not found the name of your God written in this book, and his name I do not know. The counselors and wise men answered the king, We have heard that the God of the Hebrews is the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings. Pharaoh turned to Moses and Aaron and said to them, I know not the Lord whom you have declared, neither will I send his people away. And they answered and said to the king, The Lord God of gods is his name. He proclaimed his name over us from the days of our ancestors, and sent us, saying, Go to Pharaoh and say to him, Send my people away, that they may serve me. Now therefore send us, that we may take a journey for 3 days in the wilderness, and there may sacrifice to him. For from the days of our going down to Egypt, he has not taken from our hands either burnt offering, oblation, or sacrifice. If you will not send us, his anger will be set ablaze against you, and he will strike Egypt either with the plague or with the sword. And Pharaoh said to them, Tell me now his power and his might. They said to him, He created the heaven and the earth, the seas and all their fish. He formed the light, created the darkness, caused rain on the earth and watered it, and made the herbage and the grass to sprout. He created man and beast and the animals of the forest, the birds in the air and the fish of the sea, and by his mouth they live and die. Certainly, he created you in your mother's womb, and put into you the breath of life, and reared you, and placed you on the royal throne of Egypt. And he will take your breath and soul from you, and return you to the ground from where you were taken. And the anger of the king was set ablaze at their words, and he said to them, But who among all the gods of nations can do this? My river is my own, and I have made it for myself. And he drove them from him. He ordered the labor on Israel to be more severe than it was yesterday and before. Moses and Aaron went out from the king's presence, and they saw the children of Israel in an evil condition, for the taskmasters had been their for the taskmasters had made their labor extremely heavy. Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Why have you ill-treated your people? For since I came to speak to Pharaoh what you sent me for, he has greatly ill-used the children of Israel." The Lord said to Moses, "Look, and you will see that with an outstretched hand and heavy plagues, Pharaoh will send the children of Israel from his land." And Moses and Aaron lived among their brothers, the children of Israel, in Egypt. As for the children of Israel, the Egyptians embittered their lives with the heavy work which they imposed on them. And at the end of 2 years, the Lord again sent Moses to Pharaoh to bring forth the children of Israel and to send them out of the land of Egypt. Moses went and came to the house of Pharaoh, and he spoke to him the words of the Lord who had sent him. But Pharaoh would not listen to the voice of the Lord. God roused his might in Egypt on Pharaoh and his subjects, and God struck Pharaoh and his people with very great and severe plagues. The Lord sent by the hand of Aaron and turned all the waters of Egypt into blood, with all their streams and rivers. And when an Egyptian came to drink and draw water, he looked into his pitcher, and behold, all the water was turned into blood. When he came to drink from his cup, the water in the cup became blood. And when a woman kneaded her dough and cooked her food, their appearance was turned to that of blood. The Lord sent again and caused all their waters to bring forth frogs, and all the frogs came into the houses of the Egyptians. And when the Egyptians drank, their bellies were filled with frogs, and they danced in their bellies as they danced when in the river. All their drinking water and cooking water turned to frogs. Also when they lay in their beds, their perspiration bred frogs. In spite of all this, the anger of the Lord did not turn from them, and his hand was stretched out against all the Egyptians to strike them with every heavy plague. He sent and changed their dust to lice, and the lice became in Egypt to the height of 2 cubits on the earth. The lice were also very numerous in the flesh of man and beast, and all the inhabitants of Egypt. Also on the king and queen the Lord sent the lice, and it grieved Egypt greatly on account of the lice.